Okay, we're gonna start with chapter 8, motivations from concept to application. Chapter 8 starts talking about job design. One of the model under job design is JCM, or job characteristic model. So this JCM can serve as a framework to identify opportunity for changes to those elements, especially if we understand the 5 elements or core job dimensions under JCM. So under JCM, there are 5 core job dimensions. First one is skill variety. Second one is task identity. Third one is task significance. Fourth, autonomy. And fifth, feedback. So skill variety is related to, in order to perform the job, some job need certain skills and talents, or specialized skills and talents. If employee have these specialized skill and talents, the employee considered to have skill variety. Second one is task identity. Some job require completion of the whole job, and some require just the identifiable piece of job in order to consider as a in order to be considered as a identity, means as a we can recognize the products based on when the product is finished or when some of the product is finished. So task identity is when we could differentiate between whether the task actually complete or not complete. For example, when we talk about task identity, we talk about the completions of the whole or the most identifiable pieces of the work. For example, in order to know about whether it is house or whether it is aeroplanes, we need to look at whether when we need to look at the products of the house has been complete. Then we can decide whether it is whether we can identify the products. So that's why it said task identity. The job required to complete a whole and or the most important piece, so that it can be considered to have task identity. The third one is task significance. Sometimes the job has a substantial impact on the life of people or work of other people compared to the others. Other the jobs, for example, nurses versus cleaner in the hospital. So which one has more substantial impact to the life of other people? Of course, nurses, isn't it? Of course, cleaner also important in the job in hospital, because without the cleaners, nurses cannot do the job effectively. But what is said here, the job that have the substantial impact on the life of other people. Even though cleaners also have impact, but the most impact to the other people are considered, compared with these two jobs, nurse job is considered have more impact. So autonomy is referring to the freedoms or to the independence, to how we can manage our own job, the empowerments, the autonomy that been given. Certain job has certain autonomy. For example, some organization, they provide some autonomy for the employees to decide on their own how to schedule the jobs, how to finish the job, how to perform the job effectively. So some job or some company provide autonomy or freedoms or independence for the individual to schedule their own work and to determine their procedure and so on. So some employees, or I think majority of the employees, I think prefer if they've been given autonomy to do the jobs based on their own ways. They do not like to be supervised all the time. They do not like to be dictate how to do it. So autonomy is considered very important to increase in motivation for employees. Another the last dimension is feedback. Feedback is important because it provides evaluation to provide the outcome. If not, the employees do not know whether what they produce are actually good or bad. So having a feedback, especially from the managers, could improve their performance, because feedback can result in in individual or in employees obtaining direct and clear information about their work, whether it is effective or not, and how to overcome. So without feedback, they may not know whether what they produce are good or bad. So that's the importance of feedback. So based on these diagrams, you can see in the textbook, Exhibit 8/1 is a job characteristic model. So these three job characteristics, skill, variety, task, identity, task, significance, combine all these three, if employee have all these three, employees will experience meaningfulness of the work at work. So it is important for the employees to have the skill, to have the abilities, and also to be able to perform the jobs and have impact to the society, because all these three combined together can lead to employees to experience meaningfulness. So as the outcome of having all these core job dimensions, these three could lead to high work motivations. So autonomy, having autonomy, employee could experience high responsibility for the outcome. If the organization give autonomy for the employees to decide on how to perform the job, this give them responsibility, a sense of responsibility, to feel responsible for the outcome of the work. And if this could lead if this actually could lead to high quality work performance, high satisfaction. Actually, all this, from skill variety to the feedback, could lead to high internal work motivations, high quality work performance, high satisfaction with work, and low absenteeism and turnover. Especially feedbacks, if the employees were given feedback, they know about the actual result of the activities that they produce or the product that they produce, whether it is good or bad. If they know, if they receive feedback from the customer, from the manager about the products or about the outcome of their work activity, they will be able to improve their performance if they know. That's the importance of feedback. So all these five are important to lead to the personal and work outcome in terms of motivation, performance, satisfactions, and also could reduce absenteeism and turnover. So see here, focusing these three combined together, important to produce meaningful work, and autonomy important to increase responsibility of the outcome. Feedbacks is important for the employees to know about the actual result, whether it is good or bad. So I highlighted, so I rounded the key point, these three. The important part is meaningfulness, autonomy, responsible, and feedback, actual result. So JCM, if combined together into a single model, we call it predictive index, or call it the motivating potential score, or MPS. So here MPS, the formula for MPS, the three skill, variety, task, identity, task, significant, all together add up, divided by 3. Why it is 3? Because this is 1, 2, and 3. So divided by 3 times autonomy times feedback. So this actually the formula to know the motivating potential score. That means the score for potential having high motivations. So there are lots of evidence in support of a JCM concept, and the presence of the JCM actually could generate higher and more satisfying job performance. This based on the evidence, based on the research, they found out that these JCM characteristics could actually lead to higher performance and satisfying job. So even there are studies showing that supportive leadership behavior improve the job characteristic. So the manager who have kind of supportive leadership style, in term of motivating employees using this GCM, can actually important to improve performance of their professional, especially on R&D professionals. What is it from R&D is research and development professionals. Specifically in this field, the leaderships, supportive leaderships are very important to improve the job characteristics in terms of increasing skill, task identity, task significance, autonomy and feedbacks. In this field has been done experiments on our research and development professional. They found out that it's actually improve the performance and the characteristic that lead to the higher performance of R&D professions. Um, as you all know, so that employees who doing repetitive job will find it they normally do not like it. Will find it very boring. They do not like to do just a repetitive jobs. So it is important normally for employees to look out for jobs that are challenging and stimulating. They do not like to do the same job all over again every day the same, because this kind of repetitive job only provide little variety of skills, little autonomy and little motivation. So they do not like a job that are repetitive. They like jobs that are challenging and stimulating. So in doing so, there are many ways to increase the job to become more challenging and stimulating. For example, putting employees doing job rotations. So job rotation is actually referring to the cross training where the employees are being shifted from one department to another or from one job to another. So it's basically employees being rotated around the office or around the company, either from one department to another department or from one job to another jobs under the same company. So job rotation can reduce boredom. So if you are working doing the same thing in the same department, seeing same familiar faces, so actually you will feel bored. So job rotations can reduce boredom, can increase motivation. Because it's depend on certain people. If they like challenging and stimulating, could increase their motivation if they've been sent to other departments, other job, doing other job. And also can help employees better understand their work contributions, because when they've been rotated across the company, they will gain more knowledge, more experience, and they're becoming more flexible. So they are more sought after because they know many things in their company. So this actually could help employees to better understand about their contribution to the company. However, there are some advantages of job rotations. First is great disruptions. Of course, if we see logically, if the employees were being put in one department or one job for 6 months, and there are lots of job need to be done. So after 6 months or after 1 year, they have to move to the other company. So lots of jobs or things, tasks have to be passed to other employees. So this kind of disrupt the smooth progressions of the job, or how to perform the job effectively. Is actually disrupting the job process, and also require extra time for supervisor to address questions and training time, because employees if been rotated, especially from one job to another, they have to be sent for trainings and they have to address many questions because it's considered a new job. So after 1 year being rotated, they have to do like a work, like a new jobs. So they will maybe questions, maybe we have to go to many trainings in order to understand the job. So that's one of the weaknesses. And also this could reduce efficiency because they keep moving around the organization, even though there are lots of benefits, but there are also lots of weaknesses, especially in terms of reduced efficiency. They may be not efficient enough, because if you are doing your job for a long time, you become expert in your job. But if you just been rotated, You may gain experience, you may gain knowledge, but you will not become expert, because just one year cannot make you become an expert. So this can reduce efficiency of the employees and also the times and so on. Okay, another thing that related to increasing, challenging, and stimulating job is job enrichment. It's actually referring to increasing a job high level responsibility to increase intrinsic motivation. So job enrichment is like giving more responsibility, the high level responsibility or the high level task to the employees to increase their intrinsic motivation, because some employees they really like challenging tasks. So job enrichment is kind of giving more responsibility or more complex tasks and authority for employees to complete the task. So this involves adding another layer to their responsibility and meaning. So according to the textbook, this can be effective at reducing turnover, because some employees they resign because they're dissatisfied with how they're performing the task, how they've been given the task. Maybe the task or the jobs are not really stimulating enough, are not really challenging enough, so they resign and want to work for another company that provide the challenging and stimulating tasks. So by having job enrichment, employees, instead of leaving the company looking for another jobs, by having job enrichment, giving a high level of responsibility, adding more layers, they will feel like a more value, because now they have a chance to do tasks that are more stimulating and more challenging. Okay, another job design called relational job design, normally focusing to make on job to make jobs more socially motivating. Connect employees with the beneficiaries of their work and meet beneficiary firsthand. So basically, relational job is to make the job becoming more professionally or pro-socially motivating. So that's why it says relational job design, in order to make sure that the job is becoming more effective, have benefit to others. Okay, so these are the diagram for job enrichment. As you can see, normal employees have just a current job, number of tasks similar, but if they be given job enrichments, their level of responsibility increase. This is the example of job enlargement. This textbook doesn't mention about job enlargement. It's only mentioned about job rotation and job enrichment. So, but this slide mentioned about job enlargement. Here is the job enlargement. So, job enlargement is actually adding more tasks to the job. But the job and enrichment adding level of responsibility to the job. So just to make a comparison, when we talk about job enrichment, we talk about adding more level of responsibility instead of adding number of tasks. So the number of tasks remain basically the same when we talk about job enrichment, but the level of responsibility increase. So we move to the flex time. Okay. Nowadays, especially HR dealing with many alternative work arrangements. So one of the alternative work arrangement is called flex time, or in other textbook they call it flexi time. So we use this textbook, so we call it flex time. So flex time is defined as a flexible work hours. Normally we work the traditional work arrangement is we go to work from 9 to 5 or from 8 to 5. So about 40 hours for a week. So that's traditional working hours. From 9 to 5 or 40 hours per week, with 1 hour lunch time. So that's a traditional working hours or work arrangement. Flex time, on the other hand, is where employees were given some discretion over when they can arrive to work and when they could leave from work. So this is basically is important because not all jobs are the same. Some jobs require heavy physical demands. Some jobs are quite not require high physical demands. So when the job high physical demands, employee may feel tired more than other employees. So they need more rest. So when they need more rest, that's mean if being given flexible work time, they could come late, but they still are working 40 hours a day. If the job require more physical demands, more hard work, so they feel quite very tired, so they need a rest time for a long time. So instead of coming to work at 9 or at 8, they may allow to come around 11 or 12 or 10 or 11, but they leave the work also quite late. For example, instead of 5, if people clock in 9, they clock out 5. So if they clock in at 11, for example, they may go home at 9 p.m., for example. So that's basically about flexible part. There are flexible work arrangement, but actually there are many schedules that employees can choose if they want to opt for flexible work hours. So basically, based on the studies of over 40 studies, suggest that flex time is important, could lead to positive outcome in general, but actually this relationship is quite weak. But these flexible work hours are considered stronger in reducing absenteeism, because sometimes employee absent because they feel tired, because they have problems, and so by having flex time or flexible working hours could actually overcome some problem with absenteeism, because when they have enough sleep, they could come to work they normally absent because of problems. So if the organization allowed them to come based on their convenient times, so it actually could reduce some problem with absenteeism, and also could improve productivity and satisfactions. Even though it's a lesser degree, but still there will be some improvement in productivity when they have good rest, when they're satisfied with their work, or when they know their organizations are looking after their welfare. Of course, it will lead to improvement in the productivity. So flex time tend to reduce absenteeism. That means employee who tend to absent because of sometimes they feel sleepy in the morning to come, or maybe they're not feeling or want to come because sometimes they don't have enough sleep, enough rest. So by giving flex time, alternative working hours or flexible working hours, employee may be motivated to come to work instead of just if the company provide very fixed working hours. Can also reduce tardiness. Tardiness means whether they come early or not. So in certain company, they provide fixed time. You need to come around 9 to 5. So a late 5 minute late after 9 is considered late. So for company, this is considered as a problem of tardiness and absence. Sometimes they really quite high in absence from work. So by having flex time could actually overcome this problem. However, the major drawbacks of flex time is not applicable to all jobs, especially for factory jobs where you need to be in the facilities, because you need to use the machines, you need to use the technology. You cannot bring all those technology at home. So some job need to be in the office or in the facilities. So that's one of the major drawbacks of flex time. It's not applicable to all jobs. So as you all know, these slides actually referring to the alternative work arrangement. There are many ways that employee can choose if they want to offer flex time. For example, the first schedule is schedule number one. This is actually schedule number one is actually the traditional work arrangement. This is common. Most of the company are using this schedule one. We also know about these these work arrangements from this schedule. I mean, this is very common. So 40 hours per week is very common in any company in the world, except certain countries. They are very working hours they are lesser, and certain countries they are more. But in general, 40 hours a week is considered common. So the core hours 9 to 5, like Malaysian 9 to 5, and then 1 hour lunch at 1 o'clock. So basically, in 5 days, they only working 35 hours and 5 hours lunchtime. So altogether 40 hours. So they can start at between 8 and 9, finish between 5 and 6. So if they start at 5, 8, finish at 5. So this is basically common that you can find in many of the companies. So schedule number two, this is also 40 hours per week, but they have 3 days off. So that means they do not work on Friday, but they work from Monday to Thursday, but they work longer than schedule one. So schedule one work 8 hours a day, schedule two works 10.5 hours a day. So lunch hours they only have half an hour, not 1 hour like this. So they work from Monday to Thursday, but they work longer. Here, employees come to work every day, but 2 days off, but they only work 8 hours with 1 hour lunch time. But here, they work 10.5 hours with only half an hour's lunch. So that's why they got 3 days off, but they are working similarly 40 hours as schedule one, schedule two are working the same, but they work longer Monday to Thursday because they want to have Fridays off. So basically, this is 40 days per week, 40 hours per week is considered. This is actually 42 hours, including the lunch time. Here is mentioned 40 hours per week because it didn't include the lunch. Lunch, they have half an hour lunch for 3 days, for 4 days. Altogether is 40 hours, total 40 hours working days and 2 hours lunch. So they got 3 days off. Another schedule is schedule 3, where they work for 36 hours per week, where they work from Monday to Thursday. Monday to Thursday, 8.5 hours. But on Friday they work until noon. But Monday to Thursday they have half an hour lunch, but Friday they have no lunch because they work until afternoon. So altogether 36 hours they work for a week, but they have 2.5 days off. That means Saturday, Sunday, and also Friday half day they work, so they have 2.5 hour off days. So, and schedule 4 is lesser than the schedule 1, 2, and 3. They work only for 32 hours per day, but they work 10 hours a day. So, Monday to Thursday, they work 10 hours a day, lunchtime only half an hour, and on Thursday, they only work 3.5 hours on Thursday. So, they got Thursday no lunch, so they got about 3.5 days off. So among all the schedule, this one 2 days off, this one 3 days off, but this one working less hours, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, but they work 5 hours here, 5 days, but they work here 4 days, but that's why they work longer. Here, they work 36 hours. That's why they have 2.5 days off. So that's mean they work Sunday, Saturday still off days. But Friday afternoon, so it's considered off day also. So they work only for half of the day. And schedule 4, they work for Monday to Wednesday, 10 hours a day with half an hour lunch. So Thursday, 3.5 without lunch. So total, they only work for 32 hours per a week. They have 3.5 days off. So let's say the employees need more rest, need more days off. So they have to opt for, if they want 3.5 days off, they need to opt for this. If they need 2.5 days off, they can choose for this. And if they want 2 days off, they can choose the schedule one. So it's depend on their needs. If let's say they need more day off, or they do not need more day off, they can choose any of these four. But it's depend on the company. Some company provide all these. Some company only choose 1 or 2 or 3 schedules, but not schedule 4. So that's what it says about alternative work arrangement, because it's the opposite of traditional work arrangement. So alternative work arrangement, also considered flexible, also called or also known as flexible work arrangements. So another way is that instead of choosing all this schedule, because all this schedule employee have to finish from day 1 to the day, it's depend on the schedule. If the employees are choosing the schedule 3, they have to work from Monday to Thursday, and Friday they got days off. So one employees need to do all this. So some organizations, some employees, they just want to do 40 hours. So sorry, they just want to do 20 hours. They do not want to do 40 hours. If they choose these arrangements, the lesser is only 32 hours per week. Let's say the employees want to work only 20 hours per week, so they can opt for job sharing, where 2 or more employees split the jobs instead of 40 hours per week. So there are maybe 2 or more choosing being done by half, 20 hours being done by someone else, another 20 by someone else. So they can split the hours, share with friends, with colleagues, and so on. However, job sharing is declining in use. Not many people like to do job sharing because it's very difficult to find the compatible partners to successfully doing the job. So sometimes, because fulfilling the job, if you are doing if you pair with your friends, if you split and then share with your friends or with your colleague, maybe your colleague is not really effective, maybe your colleague is not really a hard-working employees. So if they do not complete, if the other partner didn't complete the task, the other one have to complete. So sometimes it's not really difficult to determine, to divide the to measure in terms of performance effort that puts. So employee perspective, however, they sometimes they prefer to do job sharing because they do not want to do 40 hours per week jobs, because they think it's not practical. So they opt for 20 hours, maybe just 2 days working, or it depends how they manage with the friends. Maybe the friends are just doing half day, the other half being done by the other colleague, or they may work for example 2.5 days, and then another 2.5 days being given by the other colleague. So they have to share the jobs or tasks doing this. That can be done by only one employees, but because they do not want to do the whole thing for 40 hours, so they just opt for 20 hours instead of 40 hours. So basically, this is how the job sharing is done. They separate, because 40 hours is a common working hours for many companies. Some employees do not want to do 40 hours for the whole week. So some company provides allocation for doing job sharing, where they can divide it 40 hours into 2 or 3. It depends on how a company policy whether they allow more than two persons to do the job sharing. Another alternative work arrangement is telecommuting, or we call it now work from home. Because of the COVID-19 also, many of the lecturers, almost all the lecturers have to work from home. So this is what we call telecommuting. So telecommuting is where employees have to do their work at home, but they need to have some devices that can be connected to the office. So in an organization when there is no crisis like during this kind of virus, so like in the normal conditions, some company provide telecommuting, work from home at least 2 days a week. That means they can choose to do work at home, like 2 days do at home and then another days at the office. But it is important to do telecommuting. You have to have virtual devices, for example, computer, internet, telephone, printer, and so on. You need to have all those things so that you can connect with the office and the office can call you at any time. However, some company, well-known organization actively discourage telecommuting. However, in general, telecommuting is becoming popular because it can avoid some problem with the congestion traffic, with employees who have children, or we have parents who need to be looked after. So sometimes employees asked to do telecommuting. The advantage of telecommuting are positively related to performance and also job satisfaction. So some employees, because they have a problem related to work-life conflicts where they cannot pay attention to the children, where they cannot balance their times from work and home, so they prefer to opt for telecommuting because this actually can solve many of the work-family conflicts, especially if they can do telecommuting about 2.5 days at least for a week. And of course, by opt for telecommuting could reduce carbon emissions by 51 metric tons per year, because if you didn't go to work, of course you didn't use your cars, isn't it? You didn't use you did petrol, you didn't produce the carbon emissions. So it's also safe for the environment if you're working from home. The disadvantage of telecommuting, from the perspective of employer thinks that telecommuting could lead to social loafing, where they maybe do not have any more jobs, because employer normally we look after the employees, we supervise the employees, we'll go and check whether the employee doing the works or not. So employees think by giving telecommuting could increase social loafing, where they have less responsibility, so the job become less important. The responsibility shrink because employees are now working alone at home, so they have no more to really supervise. So that's why it's said by social loafing. And also difficult to coordinate teamwork, especially if the job requires teamwork. Of course, if everyone work from home, how to coordinate teamwork is kind of challenging for the employees, I think. And also difficult with non-quantitative performance, because what is means by non-quantitative is a subjective performance or is a qualitative performance. You cannot measure the performance. So if employees do not see what the employees are doing at home, maybe it's very difficult for them to evaluate the performance of their employees from the perspective of quality, or from the perspective of subjective perceptions of the employees. For the disadvantage on the behalf of the employees, working at home can increase their feeling of isolation. That means their feeling of loneliness because they have to work alone at home, and then reduce co-workers' relationship qualities because at work in the office you have a colleague, side by side. You can have a good relationship with colleague, eating lunch together. But if you opt for telecommuting, you have to work alone at home, so no friends, no co-workers, so you kind of isolated yourself from the relationship with friends and so on. And also your effort, if your employee effort also may not be noticed by the employer or by the manager about how much they put efforts, even though it can be based on the performance. But sometimes employer need to see where the employees actually put effort. If they work from home, it's very difficult for the employees or for the managers to actually observe them, so maybe the performance may not be noticeable based on the effort, because working at home, actually you on your own, employee on their own, managers cannot observe, but can sometimes check on them, but it's not like a direct supervision. That's one of the disadvantage of employee working from home. So according to the polls in the textbook, normally people with more educations are more opt to work from home. As you can see here, those who have bachelor degree tend to opt for working from home more than those without the bachelor degree. So basically, of course, we can see those who have less educations, less level of educations, their jobs sometimes normally require more physical activities. So if require physical activities or need direct supervisions, so it's very difficult for the manager to allow them to work from home. Okay, employee involvement. Sometimes nowadays employee involvement is considered important because employee inputs, if employee involved, they can provide inputs, and this input actually could increase the commitment to the organization success. Because if employee participates, whether in the decision makings or in any activities that been done by the company, if employees participate, if employee provide input, they feel responsible to perform the inputs, or they feel more committed to achieve the success or the goal that the company set. So it is important for employee involvement because it could lead to achieving organization success. There are many types of programs involving employee involvement, such as participative management and representative participations. So participative management, where employees involve or jointly involved in decision making with their immediate supervisor, where employees share decision-making powers with their supervisor. That's what is meant by participative management, where employees with the supervisor join in power in terms of decision-making. So this actually in participative management could act as a cure for poor morale, that's employee experience or low productivity. This is one of the way to reduce, to increase employee morale and also increase their productivity by encouraging them to participate in management or in making decision or any management activities. So participative employees who are participate in management actually can increase their confidence, their trust in leaders. So this is very essential. Employees who do not trust, who do not feel confident in their leaders will not participate in management activities. So trust and confidence in leaders is very important because it could lead employees to participate in the management activities. And the leader, if they want to make sure the employees participate in management activities, they should not use coercive techniques. That means they cannot force employees to participate. Instead, they have to persuade, to inspire employees, not to force them to participate, because forcing it just make them present but will not make them involved. Study of the participation and relationship with the performance have yield mixed results. So it is there are some study who say it is positive relationship between employees' participations with their performance effectiveness, but there are also other results that show a negative relationship between participations and performance. Okay, representative, the second type of employee involvement with the management is representative participations, where workers are represented by a small group of employees. Instead of all employees participate in decision making with the management, it's only small group of employees which represent the whole employees participate in decision making. So this type of representative, that's why it's called representative, because it's not all employees that involved in participating with the management activities. It's only small group of employees. So this kind of representative participations are very popular among Western Europe countries. Especially these two common forms, work council and also board representatives. Okay, work council represent by the groups of nominated elected employees. So not all employees involved, it's only the nominated or elected employees one. So any decision making by the management should be, they should consult with these elected employees, especially if the decision making that they want to decide involving personnel, involving employees. So even though work council is dominated by management, they need to consult many of the employees, especially the employees that elected by the groups to represent them, the whole employees on issue related to personnel. Board representative is employees who sit on the company board of directors. So there are some employees who also sit on the company boards of directors to represent the interests of the employees. The overall influence of the representative participation, however, seem to be minimal. That means even though employees sit on the board of director to represent the interests of the employees, still their influence are just minimal. So if let's say the employees want to change, if one were interested in changing employee attitudes, in improving organizational performance, this board representatives actually would be a poor choice for them as a way to increase performance, because board representative is not really effective. It just have few employees to sit on the company boards of director to represent the employees, but actually their role are quite minimal, so it's not really effective, even though it says one form of employee participation. Okay, we move to the rewards. How variable pay rewards and employee motivations. How pay or rewards compensation program that can be used to increase employee motivations. So using reward to motivate employees, there are many ways of how to reward employees to increase employees motivations. So So it is important for the organization to balance between giving internal equity with the external equity. Especially some organization, in order to increase the motivations of their leaders, they provide the pay for the leaders. They provide the pay. This pay is above market pay. That means they provide higher salary compared to the market. So this is very important, paying leaders especially above the market rates, because if the leader know they will be paying a higher salary above the market rates, they are more motivated to stay with the company, and also they will motivate other employees to stay with the company, because they now know that they've been valued because they receive more reward compared to the above market. It's not really easy to find a company that could pay them high, especially above market rates. So paying employees or leaders, especially general employees and leaders and so on, above the market rates could actually motivate employees to stay with the company longer. There are many ways of how to pay employees. The first one, actually the most popular one, is called variable pay programs or pay for performance. That's mean they pay the salary or the compensations of the employees depend on how they perform. If they perform less, they will receive less. If they perform high, they will receive high salary. According to the research, 84% of the company around the world use this program because is it worth it, isn't it? Because you pay employees based on their performance. If you just pay them based on not on performance, then you pay them, you just like giving them charity, because their pay is not based on their performance. So there are many ways that employee and the company can pay based on variable pay programs such as piece rate plans, merit based pay, bonuses, profit sharing, and ESOP, employee stock ownership plans. Okay, first, piece rate pay. Piece rate pay, as you can see from the name, piece rate pay. So the employees will be paid based on the amounts that they produce. So workers are paid a fixed sum for each unit of production they complete. So a pure piece rate plan actually provide no base salary. So they do not have the base salary, but the pay was given based on the amount of the output that they produce. So pays the employees only for what he or she produced. That's mean if they didn't produce anything, they will not receive anything. So the limitations of this piece rate pay is not feasible approach for many jobs, because it's not applicable for many jobs, and also have a financial risk, especially if the employees didn't produce anything, they will not get anything. So piece rate pay is actually based on the amount of the products or amount of the performance they produce. If they produce more, they will get more. If they didn't produce anything, they will not receive anything, because it's a piece rate plan. Merit-based pay is actually this plan based on the performance appraisal rating. Performance appraisal is every employees will be evaluated at the end of the year, or sometimes twice a year. It depends on the company, but normally employees, after they work, they will for a year or so, every year their performance will be evaluated. Sometimes the organization evaluate performance of their employees just to check on their performance, whether they have high or low performance. And sometimes the organization have this kind of performance appraisal to know whether to give a higher salary, to determine what kind of a salary, whether to increase or not, whether to promote or not. So the merit-based pay can be determined from the performance appraisal rating that the employees organization provides when they evaluate the employees. So these pay programs, merit-based, normally will give pay more to the high performance. So high performance, according to this plan, will receive bigger raise because they pay the performance strictly. So employees who have high performance will be given high raise, and apart from their salary. So their salary is not affected. They will be given more raise on top of that because they achieve certain performance. So employees, this merit based pay allow employees to differentiate pay based on performance. That means they can know whether employees who are perform will receive more rewards, employees who are not perform will receive less rewards. So most large organizations have this kind of merit based pay, particularly for salary employees. That's why I said normally large organization, they have the base salary, they provide the salary. On top of that, if the employees perform well, they will receive another raise or bonuses and so on. However, some limitations with merit-based pay is based on the annual performance appraisal. Sometimes employee perform well early of the year, so to wait until the end of the year to receive the raise, maybe toward the end of the year, the performance of the employees decline. So it's very difficult to measure how performance will be rated, because if in the beginning of the year employees performance are high, and at the end of the year employees performance decline, so it's actually can reflect on maybe the employees will not receive a raise, because at the end of the year the performance decline. So it's some of the limitations. Another limitation is merit is based on economics and other conditions, also irrelevant to performance. Sometimes, even though the performance of the employees increase and the performance appraisal rating also good, but because of the economic conditions, maybe because of the recession with the economics, with the other condition, the company cannot pay employees even though their performance are good. So irrelevant to performance. And sometimes even though the performance are not of the employees are not really good, but just normal, but because of the economic conditions are good, and the company can make a profitable investment because of the economic, they also will receive some raise, not related to the performance, but because of the other thing fluctuates in the economy and other conditions. So the limitation of merit-based pay is actually influenced by the economics and other conditions that is not related to performance. And union also receives this merit-based pay. Why union receives? Because union represent the whole employees. So union receives this merit-based pay because this merit-based pay only pay for employees who have high performance. So employees merit-based pay, employees who do not perform will not receive pay. Employees who perform only will receive pay. So pay raise. So union receives this because they say it is unfair. So if the company want to pay to increase the pay raise, it should be increased for whole employees, not just for certain employees. That's why union receives, because the job of the union is to safeguard or to look after the whole employees, not just the employees that perform well. Another variable pay program under the terms called bonuses. Bonuses are actually an annual bonus, normally paid at the end of the year or at the end on the middle of the year. Is considered a significant component of the total compensation for many jobs. So instead of so it's considered total compensation for many jobs, and also include lower ranking job, like like merit based pay may only pay for the employees who perform well, but bonuses will pay for the whole employees. Is depend on the company. If the company increase in profit, they will pay the bonuses to the whole company, including lower rank and also higher rank. But if the company profit decline, all will not receive bonuses, or maybe some employees will receive. But when we talk about bonuses, is include lower rank employees as well. So many companies now routinely reward production employees with bonuses when profit improves. So this is what is meant. All level of employees, whether lower ranking employees or higher ranking employees, will receive bonuses because bonuses do not discriminate whether you are lower ranking employees or higher ranking employees. However, the bad things about bonuses when times are bad, for example, economic recessions, crisis, and so on, a firm may cut or company may cut bonuses to reduce compensation costs. So bonuses actually depend on the profit of the company. If the profit increase, the company have more profit, they will give bonuses to the employees. If the company do not have enough profit, they will cut the bonuses to reduce the compensation cost. In other words, employees will not receive bonuses when the company experience bad times, or when the economy is not good, or when the company have no profits, for example. So downsides, employee pays is more vulnerable to cuts when we talk about bonuses. Sometimes non-monetary based bonuses were found to be more effective at improving performance. Sometimes, according to the research, it depends. Some employees prefer bonuses in terms of pay raise. Some employees prefer non-monetary kind of bonus. So it's depend on individual, but according to textbook, non-monetary based bonuses were found to be more effective at improving performance. Another variable pay programs actually been offered by the organization is called profit sharing plans. Profit sharing plan where the organization share their profit with with the employees. So profit sharing plan is an organization's wide program that distribute compensation based on certain formulas to depend on the company profitability to their employees. So there are some formulas, some parts, or some there's a few percentage of the profitability of the company that been shared with the employees. So compensation can be in terms of direct cash. That's mean employees can receive in terms of profit sharing plans. Employee can receive in terms of cash outlays, or particularly for top managements, or some allocation of the stock options where the employees were given in terms of profit sharing, where the employees are given some share from the company, or cash is depend on the company. So that's what they share their profit with the employees. So if they share profit sharing plan is actually important because it could have a positive impact on the employee attitudes, especially at the organizational level. Because if the organization also share their profit with the organization, employee will have a greater feeling of psychological ownership around about the company. So they will feel more committed with the company, more loyal with the company. They consider company as their own company because of the profit that they share, that the company share with the employees. Another type of variable pay program is called ESOP, or Employee Stock Ownership Plan. This where the employees, or sorry, where the company or organization provides some benefits in terms of how the employees can acquire stocks. So the employees can acquire the company stocks or any other company stocks below the market price as part of their benefits. So basically, organizations subsidize the price. So employees are allowed to buy share, whether the share of the company or whether the share that associate with the company below the market price, as compared to the other people may buy the share based on the market rates, but employees of the company will be given price at below market rates. This actually could increase employee satisfaction and innovation and feeling of psychological explain on the ships. So when I work in Australia, I also been given this kind of employee stock ownership plans, but I've been given for free. That means the company pay for me. So this is quite good. Sometimes the company pay for us, we just get the benefits, or we pay for a lower price and then we get more benefits. Also, either or is depend. But of course, if the company give you for free, it's even better, isn't it? So these giving share or stocks you ability to buy a share below the market price actually can reduce unethical behavior, because now they think that the company is belong to them, or the company are looking after welfare of their welfare. They are more motivated to work for the company, especially if the company pay the share or provide the share for them for free. Can also be used for community well building, because having ESOP can actually increase the well of the employees, actually can reduce the employees it can increase the income of the employees as well, because stocks normally can increase in price. So by the time about 2 or 3 years, the price will increase and the benefit also will increase. So do variable pay program increase motivations and productivity? Of course, by having all this pay merit variable pay program could increase employee motivation and productivity. So managers should, because of that, managers should monitor the employees' performance reward expectancy. Managers should provide the rewards that the employee expect in order to increase their performance. So by having more rewards, and will result in it will be will make employee feel more motivated. So what benefit choices to offer for to employees? Because we have, as mentioned previously in the previous slide, there are lots of pay plans, pay programs that the employee can choose. So which one is actually benefits? Which benefit choices to offer? So the company can develop a benefit package. For example, it's depend on the individual. Flexible benefits individualize the reward to the certain type of the employees. So by having these flexible benefits, allow employees to choose the compensation package that best satisfy them. So if the company choose that are not really benefit them, it's also not good. So company should allow employees to choose the compensation package that best satisfy the employees' needs, whether current needs or situation. For example, all the employees may not need like a share or ESOP or share. They may prefer the compensations that relate to health insurance or good retirement plan. So this is not good. This is what I meant here as misspelled this. It's a good retirement plans for all the employees. They are looking for these. These are health insurance and retirement plans. These are actually more applicable to them compared to the younger employees. So in order for the company to choose which one the package that's suitable for the employees, let them decide which package actually which compensation package that can best satisfy them. So just provide alternative and then let them decide. So today, almost all major corporations or most major company in the United States offer flexible benefit. That means they didn't choose the benefit for the employee. Instead, employee themselves choose the benefit package that best satisfy them. However, this kind of flexible benefits is still the usage is not yet global. Of course, not many company are still providing flexible benefits to their employees. Only just a few, sometimes because of the law require them to provide. Without the law, maybe they will not feel responsible enough to provide. So employer recognitions, organization are increasing recognizing the importance of work rewards. So reward, it is important especially to provide reward that are intrinsic and also in extrinsic. So we cannot just say just provide the intrinsic reward, because some employees they need also extrinsic reward. So it is important for the organization to provide rewards or recognitions or anything regarding rewards. They are intrinsic and also intrinsic, both intrinsic and extrinsic. So intrinsic in terms of employee recognitions, giving praise, giving of challenging tasks, or just intrinsic things that can make the job meaningful to the employees. And extrinsic can be in terms of compensation systems such as pay raise, bonuses, health insurance, and so on. So intrinsic form of employee recognition can be from spontaneous private thank you to widely publicized formal programs. So sometimes just thank you or thumbs up to the well done performance could actually increase employee morale, employee satisfactions, and then motivate them to work harder. And sometimes by providing more salaries or more raise or bonuses could actually motivate employees to increase their performance or their effort. So by having both are actually important. However, intrinsic actually is more inexpensive, because if you praise others, just say thank you, just thumbs up, or just clap, giving them support, uh, is more inexpensive and can be highly motivating as well to the employees. So both are actually important. It is important for the organization to know about this in order to increase employee motivation. Okay, that's it. So thank you.